Hey, you know my name. And today I want to talk about a story. So, yesterday I was doing live videos and they kept on getting cut off. But what I realized is I wanted to do um, three types of videos. And this is going to be me telling my own story and then talking about that or one of my experiences. And I know with COVID, the fear of death is coming up, and I've heard that come up through my own channelings from the Pleiadians and then other people's stories. So I want to talk about a story probably happened 4 or 5 years ago. I would say 4, but I'm guessing. And what was happening was I was at that time for 3 months living up in a campsite in Colorado. Just really want to get in touch with nature, and also at that time was being nomadic. And I was living up pretty isolated. There was other campsites around, but it was a free national park campsite. And I was taking, they call it a shamanic thing where you just sit in a campsite. So I read books. For some reason, I wanted to do that. But I set a fire and I just stayed in this campsite for 2 days straight, and I didn't move. And it was day 2 of that. And when you sit in nature for that long with no connection to anything, you start to feel like you're going a little crazy. Time gets really weird. You feel very disconnected, but connected at the same time. You cry, you feel emotions. You kind of feel like you're in this, I don't know, I want to call it insane asylum, but you start to let yourself go a little crazy, which is the point, right? Like awakening is a little schizophrenic and a little schizophrenic. Like you kind of feel like you're going nuts and you're kind of in this portal of another experience. But I was on day 2 of that, and I was reading a book. I forget what it was called. It was some book that's some spiritual book, and it was talking about like fearing of death. And I remember at the time I was laying in a hammock in this campsite, and I read this thing about fearing death. I'm like, I don't fear death. I've done psychedelic experiences, and I've know the spirit world when you die. And just said that out loud and in my head. Like it was very like kind of just cocky. Like I don't fear death. And bless you. And after that was my beautiful girlfriend Tana sneezing. Her sneezes are even beautiful. And when get squirrel, right? Got just distracted. But when I was laying there and I said that out loud, all of a sudden, like I felt bullets whizzing by, ricocheting, and it was like, whoop, whoop, and it felt like I could be shot. There's a shooting range near this campsite, and I guess some people I found out later were shooting their guns wildly, and the bullets were ricocheting. So I wasn't getting shot at, but it felt like that. And I literally, right after I read this, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like I just read about the fear of death, right? And I'm going crazy, and I've been by myself for a day and a half, and the bullets are whizzing by. And I froze. I couldn't move from the hammock. Talk about fight, flight, or freeze, right? I froze. At that point, it's a legitimate reason to freeze. This is why I'm not in war, probably, because fuck, when you get bullets whizzing by, you don't know what the fuck to do. Also not trained to deal with it. And kind of got humbled really fast by whatever the universal force was there. Like when you actually, it's a totally different experience than your mental construct of facing. And funny story, after that, I slowly started walking down there to tell them because I didn't know what to do. So I slowly got up and walked towards the gun range. And the guys actually left the gun range. And there was another guy there saying, oh yeah, there's these, guys shooting wildly, military guys. But, they were ricocheting the bullets. That's probably what you experienced. But then he's like, do you want to shoot this rifle at this target? And part of me was like, well, fuck it. Like if I experience death and I got all the way down here, I'm going to shoot this thing about gun use. If you use it safely, I was actually in danger. It was all perfect. But it was just an interesting experience. So, and bringing up, that fear of death, where you can't really live until you experience death, right? If you're scared of death, if you're scared of losing things, if you're scared of failure, if you're scared of disappointment, if you're scared of many deaths within inside you, you can't live. And and we're going to die. Like, that's a legitimate thing. It's going to happen. We might live longer. We are eternal, but in this moment, like, your experiences is limited. Like, there's a limited amount of time. The only thing that's limited is time, right? To do what you desire and do what brings you joy, and also to face those feelings and be humble about it. Don't be like me that thinks you're all good. Like, be humble about those feelings, and let them come up in a real way, and just be deep with those fears, and think about it. Think about death. Think about that you're going to die. Think that you're going to be on your deathbed. Like, there's limitations to it. And I'm not saying this in this dark way of like pressure on you, but also like it's real. And, the weird thing, right? We don't talk about sex and we don't talk about death. And it's really weird because those are the two things that are pretty consistent. There are asexual people, but really, like, overall, those are the consistent things in our lives we don't talk about because they're scary, right? They're scary to go. I don't know, sex is scary, but like, we don't learn about these things that are real, like they're real things. So part of my like purpose is I want to bring up the real things. And for me, when I think about death, it makes me think of what's really important. I had a psychedelic shamanic ceremony. I don't do psychedelics anymore. I've done way too much of them. But in those moments, I had an awakening of, seeing individuals that were, dead or ancestors, and they told me to remember what is important in life. I'll keep talking. You can rewatch it too, but just remembering what's important, and these beings, these ancestral beings that I saw, and they look kind of like zombies and dead. I think they're just representing this to me in this experience. Remember what's important. And they said, remember what's important over and over again. And that's your relationship with people you love, right? And doing the things you love to do. Like, it's that simple. And we make it out like, I got to be successful. I got to make the money. I got to work more. I got to get this. We have these goals, and really they're kind of pointless when you think about death. Like, they don't matter. And instead, we need to remember just what's important. And I think thinking about death brings us into what's important to us. And it could be dreams, like making videos or making content, or, whatever your dream business is, making postcards. I don't know who makes postcards anymore. But whatever your dream is, that's also important. But going into thinking about death, kind of like it funnels us into what's really important to us. And it's all different. But that's yep. Exactly. So just remembering deep down what is important and what feels really important. And what's important is going to be deep within your gut. It's going to be deep in that power place. It's going to be real. It's going to feel vibrant, but also like really deep. And the deeper we go within ourselves and deeper we go into this thinking about death, the farther we can go in life. And I know it seems paradoxical, but everything is. So that's all I wanted to speak about today. And I know some of you just got here, but feeling called to, just bring that message and the story through. And then, later I'm going to be doing channelings and doing also teaching. So I want to do 3 different types of videos. It's really fun for me. I like to keep them shorter so people can watch them later, but definitely watch the replay of this video. It'll be on YouTube, I don't know, in an hour or so. But I love you guys, and I will see you soon.